Part 1. You will hear a phone conversation between a customer and a restaurant staff member about placing a meal order. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hello, is this Royal Dining?
Yes, you've reached Royal Dining. How can I assist you today?
Hi, I'd like to order a meal for tonight, but I have a few questions before placing an order. Is now a good time?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to help. What would you like to know?
Great. First, can you tell me what's on the menu today? Do you have any specials?
Yes, we do. Our special tonight is a grilled salmon served with steamed vegetables and mashed potatoes. We also have a roasted chicken dish, a vegetarian pasta, and our popular beef lasagna. If you prefer something lighter, we have a Caesar salad as well.
That sounds nice. I'm particularly interested in the vegetarian pasta. Could you tell me more about that? I'm trying to avoid meat and dairy.
Sure. Our vegetarian pasta is made with a mix of seasonal vegetables like zucchini, bell peppers, and mushrooms, tossed in a light tomato-based sauce. Normally, we add a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese on top, but if you'd like, we can omit that to keep it dairy-free.
Oh, that would be perfect. I'm lactose intolerant, so no cheese, please. Do you also have any gluten-free options? My friend has celiac disease.
Yes, we do. For gluten-free options, we have a gluten-free pizza with various toppings, and we can also make the vegetarian pasta with gluten-free pasta. Additionally, most of our salads are naturally gluten-free. Just make sure to request a gluten-free dressing.
That's fantastic. I think I'll go with the gluten-free vegetarian pasta for my friend and a regular one for myself, without the cheese.
Got it. 2 vegetarian pastas, 1 gluten-free, and 1 regular without cheese. Anything else you'd like to add?
I was wondering if you have any soups available tonight.
Yes, we have 2 options, a tomato basil soup and a creamy mushroom soup. The tomato soup is vegan-friendly, but the mushroom soup contains dairy.
I think I'll take 2 tomato basil soups then, just to be safe.
Noted. 2 tomato basil soups. Would you like any drinks with that? We have soft drinks, fresh juices, and a selection of wines.
I'll take 2 fresh orange juices, please.
Perfect. So that's 2 vegetarian pastas, 2 tomato basil soups, and 2 fresh orange juices.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Anything else for your order?
Actually, one last question. What are the portion sizes like? Are they enough for a full meal, or should I order some sides?
The portions are quite generous, but if you're looking for sides, we do have options like garlic bread, roasted vegetables, or a side salad.
I'll add 2 orders of garlic bread then. That should do it.
Excellent choice. Now, regarding the timing, when would you like the order to be delivered? We usually have delivery slots available every 30 minutes.
I need the food by 7:30 p.m. Is that possible?
Let me check. Yes, we can have your order delivered by 7:30. Our delivery service is quite prompt.
That's great. And how much will the total be?
Let's see. The gluten-free vegetarian pasta is $15. The regular one is $12. Each soup is $6. The juices are $4 each, and the garlic bread is $5 for two. So your total comes to $52. Would you like to pay now or upon delivery?
I'll pay upon delivery. Do you take credit cards?
Yes, we accept all major credit cards, so that won't be an issue.
Perfect. One last thing. Do you include cutlery with the delivery, or should I request it separately?
We include cutlery with every order, but if you need extra, just let us know.
No, the standard cutlery will be fine. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome. So, to confirm, we've got 2 vegetarian pastas, 1 gluten-free and 1 without cheese, 2 tomato basil soups, 2 fresh orange juices, and 2 orders of garlic bread, all to be delivered by 7:30 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes, that sounds perfect.
Great. Your order is all set. We'll have it delivered on time, and you can pay when the food arrives.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Enjoy your meal, and feel free to call us if you need anything else. Have a lovely evening.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear a community coordinator discussing a new recycling program. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 14.
Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you've all shown interest in our new recycling program. It's an important step for our community, and we're aiming to make it as easy as possible for everyone to participate. Let me start by explaining what materials will be accepted and how the collection schedules will work. Now, let's get into the details. One of the most important things to understand is that not every item you use can be recycled in this program. We have to be strict with the guidelines, and I really can't stress that enough. Paper is a major category for us, but not all kinds of paper. Newspapers, magazines, and office paper are the types we're specifically looking for, but anything wax-coated, like certain types of food packaging, must be kept out of your bin. Even things like glossy brochures may seem recyclable, but if they have a wax coating, they're not allowed. Now, a lot of people ask about cardboard, and yes, we do accept it, but with a few conditions. The cardboard must be clean, no food stains or leftover grease from pizza boxes, for instance. It should be flattened before you toss it in. Also, any excess tape should be removed, although a small amount is fine. Some people think just tearing off the main label is enough, but that's not the case. Please be thorough in removing all the non-cardboard materials. Plastic, too, comes with certain restrictions. Many people think they can recycle every type of plastic, but that's simply not true. Only specific kinds are accepted here. Common household containers like water and shampoo bottles are great examples of what you can recycle. But you need to make sure they're empty and rinsed out. Some people might forget about rinsing, and that causes problems later on. We can't accept plastic bags in this program either. Those need to go to specialized drop-off locations at your local stores. And please don't include any plastic packaging like film or wrapping material, as these get caught in the machinery.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Glass is also part of our program, but again, there are limits. Glass bottles and jars are good to go, but only if they're cleaned out first. We cannot take broken glass, so be sure to avoid putting that in your bin. We've also had people put mirrors and other glassware in the recycling bins in the past, which unfortunately we can't process. Those need to be handled by a different program. Just stick to regular bottles and jars, please. Another important thing to note is that we're encouraging everyone to keep their recyclables separate from regular trash. You'll need to use a different bin for recycling, which should be marked clearly. You should have received one of these bins already, but if you haven't, don't worry, we have extras at the community center. Just come by and pick one up. One last thing to keep in mind. We're not currently accepting any compostable materials like food waste or garden waste in this recycling program. I know there's some confusion because a lot of people have asked about this, but for now, that's a separate service. We're hoping to integrate that in the future, but it's not part of this program at the moment. So please don't put anything compostable in your recycling bin for now. What does this mean in practical terms? If you have kitchen scraps like vegetable peels, fruit cores, or even coffee grounds, these should go into a compost bin if you have one. If not, we recommend setting up a small composting system at home or dropping these off at designated compost collection sites. The same goes for garden waste. Things like grass clippings, leaves, and small branches should not be mixed with your regular recyclables. These materials are processed differently and can cause contamination in the recycling process if included in the wrong bin. Another important point, even if the packaging says compostable, it doesn't mean it belongs in your recycling bin. For instance, compostable plates and cutlery that are becoming popular at events are designed to break down in composting facilities, not recycling plants. Some of these items may look similar to plastic, which can be confusing, but they need to be treated separately. Even biodegradable plastic bags, which break down over time, cannot be accepted in the recycling bin for now. We ask you to dispose of these items in a responsible manner, either in composting services or your regular waste bin, until we expand our facilities to handle them. One final reminder, although we don't yet accept compostable waste in this program, we are actively working toward launching a composting service in the near future. We're in the early stages of planning, and we hope to have it in place by next year. Once that happens, we'll provide all households with a separate bin specifically for organic waste. Until then, please be mindful about what goes into your recycling bin and avoid anything that could disrupt the recycling process. In case you're unsure about any specific items or need clarification, we've set up a helpline. You can call the number listed on the calendar or visit our website, where we have a full list of accepted materials and more detailed instructions. There's also a downloadable PDF that you can print out and stick on your fridge for easy reference. We know that there's a lot to keep track of, but we're here to help, and we're excited to see the community work together on this. Let me remind you again, the key to making this program work is following the guidelines. If non-recyclable materials are mixed in, it can cause major delays at the recycling plant, and in some cases, entire batches may need to be thrown out. So it's crucial that everyone understands what is accepted and what is isn't. Thank you all for your participation and cooperation. Together, we're making...
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear two students discussing potential destinations for a study trip. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 24.
Okay, so we've narrowed it down to 3 destinations for the study trip: Paris, Tokyo, and Rome. Each has something unique to offer, but we really need to think about which one will benefit us the most academically and culturally. Let's start with Paris. What do you think?
Paris is a classic choice, right? I mean, it's famous for its history, art, and architecture. We could visit the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, and all those iconic places. But from an educational standpoint, I'm not sure if it would be the best option for our project on technology in education. France is more known for its art and culture than cutting-edge tech innovations.
True. The art and culture aspect is definitely a plus, especially for students studying history or literature. I think Paris would be great for that, but our focus is more on modern educational systems and how technology is being integrated. Plus, it's such a popular destination that I wonder if we'll really get to explore anything new. It might just be the same old tourist spots.
Exactly. It's definitely a great city, but not quite right for what we're trying to achieve. Now, Tokyo, that's an interesting option. Japan is known for being a leader in technology, and they have some of the most advanced schools in the world. We could learn a lot about how they integrate technology into education, which is directly related to our project.
I agree, but I'm also thinking about the language barrier. Japan could offer a lot educationally, but would we be able to understand the lectures and presentations if they're all in Japanese? That might limit how much we can actually learn. And don't forget how expensive it could be. Flights, accommodation, it could really stretch our budget.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
Good point. The language issue is something to think about, although I've read that a lot of conferences and educational workshops in Tokyo are held in English, so that could help. But still, you're right about the cost. It would be a big expense for the group, and I'm not sure everyone could afford it.
Exactly. It sounds amazing, but I don't want us to pick a destination where half the group can't participate because of the costs. That leaves us with Rome. What do you think about that?
Rome is a strong contender. It has such a rich history, and the educational opportunities are definitely there. We could focus on the cultural heritage aspect, like how history and tradition are preserved through architecture and museums. It's also more affordable than Tokyo, and English is spoken more widely, which could make things easier.
That's true. The history alone is incredible, and I think there's something to be said about learning from the past to inform the future. But I still wonder if it's the best choice for our project. Rome is known for its history, but not so much for its advancements in technology. It's almost the opposite of what we'd get in Tokyo.
Yeah, it seems like we're balancing between cultural and technological benefits here. Rome would definitely give us more on the cultural side, but for the technology focus, it might not provide enough. I do like that it's affordable, though, and it's definitely a place where we could explore different aspects of education, especially how history plays a role.
I guess it depends on what we want to prioritize. If we want to focus more on culture, Rome makes sense. If we're looking for technological advancements, then Tokyo is the clear winner. Paris feels like it's somewhere in the middle, but I don't think it offers the depth we're looking for in either area.
Yeah, Paris feels more like a tourist trip than an educational one for our project. So it sounds like we're leaning towards either Tokyo or Rome. What do you think we should decide?
Well, if we choose Tokyo, we're getting cutting-edge insights into technology and education, but the cost and language might be challenges. With Rome, we're getting deep historical and cultural context, which is important, but not directly tied to our project's focus on modern technology.
True, but what if we considered Rome from a different angle? Instead of just looking at history, we could explore how Italy is adapting its educational systems to preserve cultural heritage through modern tools. That might give us a unique perspective that ties into both culture and technology.
That's a good point. We could approach Rome from that angle. It would give us both a cultural aspect and some insight into how modern tools are being used in education. Plus, it's still more affordable, and the language won't be as much of a barrier.
Exactly. We wouldn't have to worry about costs as much, and we'd still be able to learn something new. Rome might not be known for its technology, but we could definitely find a way to make it relevant to our project.
So, it sounds like we're leaning towards Rome then. I'll make a note of that, but we should definitely look into how we can tie it more into the technology aspect. Maybe there are educational programs that focus on digital tools in historical preservation.
Agreed. It's not perfect, but it seems like the best balance for our budget and our academic goals. We'll need to do a bit more research, but I think Rome could work for us. At least it's the most practical option out of the three.
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecture from an agricultural scientist discussing the effects of climate change on crop yields. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today we're going to talk about a topic that affects us all, how climate change impacts crop yields. You may have heard that rising temperatures and shifting weather patterns are having a direct effect on farming and food production. But how did we get to this point? And what exactly is happening to our crops? Impact on agriculture. Let's start with a little background. Agriculture has always been closely tied to the climate. Ancient civilizations relied on predictable seasons and steady rainfall to grow their crops. But over time, human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial development have significantly altered our climate. The result is global warming, where the Earth's overall temperature rises, leading to a ripple effect across ecosystems. In farming, this ripple effect translates to changes in rainfall patterns, increased temperatures, more frequent extreme weather events, and shifting growing seasons. Looking back in history, farming practices have always had to adapt to climate. In regions where droughts were common, for example, farmers developed irrigation systems to ensure that their crops received enough water. In places prone to flooding, drainage systems were introduced. However, modern-day challenges are much greater. In the past century, the Earth has warmed by about 1 degree Celsius. That might sound small, but it has led to dramatic consequences for agriculture. A longer growing season, for instance, could initially seem beneficial for some crops. However, this extended season also brings more pests that thrive in warmer temperatures, leading to lower yields. One of the clearest examples of climate change's impact is the shift in rainfall. In many parts of the world, rainfall has become less predictable. Some regions experience more intense droughts, while others are hit by severe floods. Both are harmful to crops. During droughts, crops dry out due to a lack of water, leading to smaller harvests. On the other hand, heavy rainfall can cause soil erosion, wash away nutrients, and make it harder for crops to grow. This imbalance in water availability can significantly affect both the quantity and quality of crops produced. Temperature changes are another factor to consider. For example, wheat, a staple food for many, is highly sensitive to heat. When temperatures rise above a certain point, the wheat plant starts to suffer. The grains don't develop properly, and farmers harvest less. Corn, rice, and soybeans are also affected. In fact, it's estimated that for every degree the temperature rises, crop yields can drop by 5 to 10%, depending on the crop. This means that even small increases in temperature can have a big impact on food supply, especially in regions where farming is already difficult. But it's not just the quantity of crops that's affected, the quality is also changing. With higher temperatures and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, crops like wheat and rice tend to grow faster. While that may sound like a good thing, the faster growth actually reduces the nutritional content of these crops. In simpler terms, the food we eat may become less nutritious, lacking important vitamins and minerals. This poses a serious challenge for food security, especially in developing countries where people rely heavily on these staple crops for their diet. Another issue tied to climate change is the spread of pests and diseases. Warmer temperatures allow pests to survive in areas where they wouldn't have before. Crops that were once safe from certain insects or diseases are now vulnerable. For example, the fall armyworm, a pest that eats corn, has spread to new regions due to warmer climates. This leads to further reductions in crop yields, forcing farmers to use more pesticides, which is not only costly, but also harmful to the environment. It's important to note that not all regions are affected in the same way. Some areas may see slight improvements in crop yields, especially in colder climates, where longer growing seasons could benefit certain crops. But overall, the global trend is concerning. Developing countries, particularly in Africa and South Asia, are likely to suffer the most. These regions already face food insecurity, and climate change only adds to their challenges. Farmers here often rely on rain-fed agriculture, meaning that unpredictable rainfall can lead to devastating crop failures. In response to these challenges, scientists and farmers are working together to find solutions. One approach is developing new crop varieties that are more resilient to heat, drought, and pests. These crops are bred to withstand extreme conditions, giving farmers a better chance of producing good harvests. Another solution is using technology like precision agriculture, which allows farmers to monitor their fields closely and make more informed decisions about watering, fertilizing, and pest control. This not only improves yields, but also helps conserve resources. While adaptation is key, reducing the root cause of climate change is just as important. Efforts to reduce carbon emissions, promote sustainable farming practices, and protect ecosystems are all part of the solution.
That is the end of part 4.